Girl, shut up. I know you lying. Wait, what? Say what now? Ain't no way. It's just not giving what it was supposed to give. My man. Yes, honey. You giving me life. Oh, you did that. Child, please. What's happening, good people? It's your girl, 𝐬𝐴_Kecia, with a little chat and chew. So before we get started here tonight, let me do my disclaimer. All thoughts and opinions that are shared on this podcast are those of myself and my guests. It is not intended for you to agree or disagree. We will be happy to agree to disagree. So, having said that, what's going on, people? It's the end of Lent. So before we get started on the battle of the eras, let's talk about coming to a close and my reflections on Lent. A couple of weeks ago we had ladies' night, and I talked about, some things that, my friends wasn't really feeling. And so it was a part of Lent. That was a part of my Lent, and asking God to help me to let go. Let go of things, people, places, situations that were not a part of his plan and his will for me. Because at the end of the day, what God wants for us is always best. Even though it feels good to us, it feels nice when we're doing it. It feels nice when we get these things. But if it's not intended for us to have them through God's grace and his plan and purpose for us, then it's not going to prosper. So that was a part of my Lent. And I am happy to tell you that I went to bed last night and I prayed, God, are you hearing me? Are you hearing me? Because I know I'm not the only one who feels like I'm praying, but it don't seem like you listening. So last night, that was really my prayer. God, if you're listening to me, please just let me know. So me and God tussled last night. But at the end of the day, I woke up refreshed, and I had a sense of like I had just lost a weight off of me. And throughout the day, having to deal with different situations, I found myself being able to just let situations go without any hard feelings, without any feeling bad or feeling like I could have done things different or anything like that. And I believe that that's what God wants us to do. When the word says lean and depend on him, trust him, that's what it's all about. Not trusting on our thoughts, our opinions, and our desires. Not that God's not going to give us the desires of our heart, but what we should want is the desires of our heart according to his word. And that's what I want. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I always get it right. And I'm not saying I will, because I definitely won't. But I do want to, try to stay within the yellow lines, So as we are closing Lent out, I can say that I'm in a much better space. I can say that when I think of certain things, I don't get overwhelmed with emotions. I can say that I can walk away from situations and I can feel peace about it. I can feel like I've done my best. And that is a big thing to me, because I am a very loving, giving person. And sometimes, situations, people, they tend to disappoint. And I know we're not supposed to put our expectations or depend on people, and we're supposed to accept people for where they are. But, when you have a big heart, you tend to give more than you actually should. So having said all that, I hope that all of you out there, as we prepare to enter into Easter Sunday, if you did practice Lent, I pray that God has answered all your prayers. And even if you didn't practice Lent, I still pray that God answers all your prayers. And I pray many blessings upon you and your families. So now, I hope y'all ready for tonight because the best era there is here tonight. You know, I'm a little biased because I was born during this time. So here are my special guests for the night. We will have my best friend since high school, Miss Kecia Woodard. And we will have my best friend since being stationed at Fort Benning back in 19. I'll let you guess the rest. Janae Gaddy. So let's see if we can get them plugged in here real quick. All right, there go Kecia. Kecia, sound check. Can we hear you? Tell the people hello.
Hey, Janae.
Janae, tell the people
What up,
hello.
Kecia?
Y'all
What's
supposed
up,
to be talking
girl?
to the people, not each other.
No. Hey, but wait. Girl, you look like some new money. Look at
Oh,
you.
Lord Jesus.
You just
Girl,
look good,
I'm
girl. You
still
look
in my
good.
acting routines, you know. Hey,
Okay, I want y'all to tell the people.
Ow. Oh, hey, y'all.
Thank you. So, Janae, this for everybody that's wondering, yes, this is Janae from Texas. The infamous Janae from Texas, always punching in questions and comments. Yes, this is the infamous Janae from Texas. So we're all Generation
hey.
X. So
Hey,
we're here
Keisha.
to explain to y'all,
The
like,
ice cream man's outside. Can I go get some ice cream real quick?
no, you can sit
Oh,
down. You had
okay.
time to do this, lady. Okay, so we're gonna get started right here. So Janae and Kecia, you give us your thoughts first. So Kecia, what do you think was the best impact that we had as Generation X coming from the baby boomers?
What was the biggest impact?
I mean, especially having a mom like y'all, like yours, because I mean, for those that don't know, Keisha's mom is very successful. She's a successful realtor, successful broker, and I know growing up, she was a great big example for me. You know, example how to be a power woman, so to speak, a power player.
Okay, and so to that's a great segue into what I can say. I think what I learned from my mom and dad was hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Not waiting for anybody to give me anything. Although, if we're being honest, if I really needed something, all I had to do was ask my mom and dad. But they did instill the work ethic that I have now. They instilled that into me, and fortunately for me, my children, I
Mm-hmm.
instilled that same work ethic into them. So my kids are going to be really solid
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to work. They don't feel entitled to anything because I'm just not going to hand you just
Right.
whatever. So if I have to say anything, it would be the work ethic and that entitlement stuff with kids nowadays. Nah, we're not
Oh
doing
yeah,
that.
we gonna get to that part. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
not in
All
my house.
right, all right, Janae. So for you, now you came from a different type of background than Kecia. What would you say that your mom instilled in you that you carried on, like it was the foundation that you built off of in your success?
So my mom harped really hard on credit. She's harped on like your credit means a lot to you. It'll
Mm-hmm.
carry you, and even when you're struggling, like it will get you through. And so she made sure we knew how to balance a checkbook. We knew what credit meant, so you don't damage that. You pay it off,
Right.
and that that stuff goes a long way because it will follow you for years to come. So with that, I've done very well because she taught me that, like, not to ruin that and not to allow other people to leech off of you that
Mm-hmm.
can damage your credit. So, if anything, my mom taught me about credit.
So just listen at everything that y'all are saying, like, and I agree that in our generation coming up, um, you know, what we got, we had to work hard for. Not saying that any generation after us don't have to work hard. But it was instilled in us to have pride in what we did and who we was and working hard to build or to succeed. That was instilled in us. That those were pillars that our parents or our families built. Imparted into us. So that's and I love the fact that you brought up the credit and banking and savings, and, building your money, because also that is something that we had in school that the kids nowadays don't have. They don't teach, how to balance a checkbook. There's no home economics or anything. There's no like where me and Nisha was coming up. Nisha, where did Nisha go? Nisha Woodard, Nisha King Woodard, Nisha Lachey. You need to report to the office right now.
Why you say whole government name?
You need to report to Mr. Brooks' office right now.
Daisha Lachey.
Yeah. So, Nisha got a friend, y'all. Shut up. What's up, Nisha friend?
Let me go put my dog up. Hold on.
What's going on? What's up, Molly? Moxie, that's the dog name. What's up, Moxie?
Oh my God, Moxie.
I am sorry.
Yeah, we just having a good old party. This is kind of what we do.
Yeah, we need to put the dog up.
Yeah.
We just keeping it 100. Doggone Generation X.
It looks like a dope atmosphere. Is it muted?
So, Nisha's friend, what's your name?
Promise.
Roberts?
Promise, yeah.
Okay. Tell us, what is one thing that your parents instilled in you that you still carry today that helped you, to build a good foundation coming up?
One thing they instilled in me, work ethic.
Work ethic. See, that's what we all have in common. That work ethics. Get in that work ethics. Get in that foundation, and that is awesome. That is an awesome thing and I just like the fact that all of us said the same thing. Like all of us, and we come from so many. Like all four of us come from different, backgrounds. But that is so amazing. So I really, really like that point right there. And also, so we have established that, the baby boomers gave us that foundation. They gave us that work ethics. Another thing that I think is a major difference in the Generation X, which is us, and the millenniums and the Gen Zs. We used to play outside. We didn't have the distractions that Generation Y and Generation Z have. We also didn't have the distractions that the baby boomers had. The baby boomers might not have distractions like the Y and Z have, but the boomers had their own set of distractions, segregation, all these different all these different things that happen in history. I'm pretty sure those were distractions, just like my mom said last week, different things that happened, that they ended up making an all-black school so the kids could go and feel comfortable. So when we think about us, we didn't have segregation, so we didn't have that distraction. We also didn't have the distraction of all the electronics, all the different things, that the kids have that keep them away from, building and getting to know and just having more family time. Tell me your take on that, Janae.
Janae.
How do you feel about the distractions that the kids after us have versus the fact that we didn't have those distractions? Like the games and the way that reality TV, that kind of thing. We didn't have those things as distractions as kids.
think Janae's frozen.
I think she's frozen. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll come back to Janae. How about you
No,
guys,
there she is.
Nisha? What are your takes on that?
As far as the distractions,
Yeah.
you're right. We didn't have the distractions that we have now, that the kids have now. And I've noticed that my children, they deal with anxiety
Mm-hmm.
and depression.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I'm not to take away the fact that we dealt with that stuff too. We just dealt with it in a different way.
Right,
And
right,
I
right.
believe that that depression and social anxiety is more prevalent because of social media.
Yes, I agree.
Because people are looking on Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat, and they're, looking at what their friends are doing, and they're looking at themselves and thinking that they're less than,
Right.
because they're not doing the same thing that their friends are doing. But what people need to realize, grown-ups and our children alike, that people don't put the bad stuff on social media. They always
Right.
put their highlight reel out there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it's very important, and I talk to my kids about this all the time. People gonna put out there what they want you to see, but what's happening in your reality is what's most important. So you can't compare yourself to anybody else. And there have been several times where my kids have deleted all their social media because it got to be too much.
Too much. I
Taryn,
agree.
for example, where she feels like she's not as far along in her life as she should be,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't true, because where she is right now as a 25-year-old is amazing to me.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of
comparing
that,
herself to what she sees on social
exactly,
media, TV, reality TV,
bingo,
right? She feels like she's not there. She hasn't made it.
right.
And I think that because we didn't have those things, our worth ethic was a little different. We were striving towards success. Not to
Right.
say that those kids aren't, but we were striving towards success without so much of the anxiety and so much of the depression. I think our depressive states or anxiety came from a different battle.
It came from 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿 wanting to beat me up after school, and I
Okay.
ain't do nothing to it.
Okay. Note to the crowd. I did
Oh,
not
my
know you
bad.
were going to say
My
that.
bad. I was a little triggered. My bad.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
She got on some "You Told Hoppo to Beat Me" real quick.
So
What is
I mean,
going
and
on
you
here?
know, I mean, even when you think about those things, the way we fought back in our generation is completely different from how the kids fight now. You know,
They
like
don't right now.
it's because of what they see, what
Mhm.
is being projected to them. You
Mhm.
know, what is being projected, what is being shown that unfortunately is the right thing to do. Like for instance, we were the latchkey. Oh, okay. We got a comment from Mr. Charles Schufer here. Said parents provide the distraction to their children, so it takes the pressure off of them, so they don't have to deal with the here and now. And that is absolutely correct. I know when we were coming up, we didn't have, like I said, we had a different set of distractions. But you can guarantee if you was outside playing, doing something you didn't have no business, a nice your mama and then mama next door, whether your mama was there or not, it was somebody there to redirect you. And you can best believe you doing something you ain't got no business. You might get a whooping from them. And then when your mama and daddy got home, you was gonna get a whooping for them. And because those we don't have that, and then that was something that my mother said too, that back in the baby boomer time, our culture was more of a community. And I think we have totally lost that. In my opinion, I feel like we only come together as a community when something has gone wrong. But what about when things are right? What about just on a everyday basis? It shouldn't be a foreign thing to just be nice to somebody or speak to somebody. It shouldn't be. Yeah, you're gonna always have those bad apples, but I think that's another relative difference in the way in the generations. You know, we still had that exposure from the baby boomers, so they was giving us, what they knew, because they didn't know anything different. So with some of us, now you have to admit, with some of us, because we come from, so many different backgrounds, it was like, I'm not gonna whoop my kid, or I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do that, which created for our children, some of our children, not like what Naisha said with her kids, that she instilled in her children what was instilled in her, so they have that foundation. But what about those parents, like Mr. Shuford said there, that's given our generation having kids, Y and Z, and they're giving the kids these distractions because they don't, it's, out of sight, out of mind. You know what I mean? So they're changing up their parenting skills from what was instilled in them. Hence, how we get to the next topic on the sensibility of entitlement. I don't think our generation has a sense of entitlement. I agree, just like everybody else said here, that we have a foundation of hard work and getting out there, getting after it. If at first you don't succeed, try again. But what about those parents that says from our generation, I'm not going to raise my child the way my mother raised us, and they do it different, hence creating the entitled child. What's your take on that, you two? Janae done fell off again.
As far as what was instilled in me, I had to somewhat change the perspective a little for my son and daughter.
Okay.
Mainly because of the times, for one.
Uh-huh.
And two, is certain things that I had to learn
Okay.
that I wasn't given. So I know my parents worked hard. That's one thing that was evident. They worked hard. They were good people, God-fearing people who understood where they wanted to go.
Right.
Well, as far as the whole work ethic, it was more of a job work ethic over entrepreneurship work ethic.
Okay. I see what you're saying now. Okay.
So when it comes down to whatever they want to do, this really, we're in a time now where if you have a vision or a plan, you can really do it. So it's really insistent upon the parent to make sure that the child understands that you have a chance outside of any other that we had, because it's set forth. Technology is here for you. You can make money right here at the house. There's so many different things you can do now that we couldn't do. So I think the less is more now when it comes down to how they're going to make provision, and how our parents taught us was a lot.
Right. Because it was more, and I understand what you're saying. It was more traditional.
Correct.
Now we get, there's so many different avenues. So
right.
We can say, encourage them, give them tools to be successful. But what about parents that don't parent, so to speak? So hence creating a child X and Y and Z with a sense of entitlement.
Well, this is going to raise your child if they don't.
You're right.
And it's doing it right now. It's doing it so much to where parents are confused as to how to raise their kids because of the internet, because of social media, because of different perspectives that people, I think a different perspective is good, but to a point where you have to know who you are in self to receive it.
That's a great point. Oh, that's awesome.
I told you he was the bomb, girl.
Yeah, he's great. Oh my God.
My guy.
Yeah, he's great. But that was an awesome point. Yes, that was very, very good. But I mean, I have to say, my kids went through a spell. Both of them at some point, where they were so influenced by, their friends and, like you said, the internet and society, to where they did go through a a period of entitlement where they just felt like because I was their mama, I was just supposed to do, you know? And then you as a parent, especially in my case, I was a single parent. I spent a lot of time away from my children because of my career choice. And so a lot of times in the beginning, I felt obligated. Different things had happened in their lives. And I felt like, I got to do this. And thank the Lord that the light bulb came on.
Correct.
Because sis don't feel that way no more. And so the great thing is everything that I have instilled in them, even though kids are going to do what you allow them to do. So because I was allowing them to have that sense of entitlement, that's what they played on. You know what I mean? So you're definitely right. I think that was an awesome point. Another thing, how about this? I know I went through this while I was on the trail. As a drill sergeant, we had a lot of young kids back in like 06, 05, 06 time frame, somewhere around there. Where because the kids didn't play outside like we did, their blue bones and joints were very fragile. Like, and they did a study to say because these kids, like their fingers work well, but the rest of their body, because they didn't get that, they didn't get the opportunity to drink from the street. They don't know about coming in the house when the street lights come on. They don't know about your mama calling you from the door. They don't know about all of that. So it created a different generation coming through that we had to adapt to before we didn't have any soldiers to train. So what are y'all take on that? Kids getting out there playing in the yard and controlling their social media time, their time on the tablet, all that kind of thing.
So I think for me, that only really affected one of my children. That would be Nicholas, because my girls were they were pretty active in sports and just doing different things. Nicholas, on the other hand, he was more of he was one of the ones that had the hand-eye coordination down, but the rest of it, he was kind of lazy.
But now look at him. It was that foundation that you instilled in him.
Right, because basically I got tired of seeing him lay on the couch, and I finally said, get your ass up and do something. Go outside or take out the trash or do something other than play.
Generation X parent right there. Get your ass up.
Right. And if you're gonna continue to stay here, because it got to a point after basic training for him, he was just kind of figure out what he was gonna do. You can't just lay on my couch. You're gonna have to do something, son.
Right.
So he decided to get up and work, and because that's what we do. If we don't do nothing else,
you're gonna work.
Yeah.
You're gonna work on somebody's job. You're gonna create your own job. You're gonna do something.
Exactly.
Janae, can you hear us? Would you like to join the conversation?
I can hear you.
Oh, and, there you go. She's there. Everybody give her a round of applause.
Stop playing. I've been listening the whole time.
Texas. Okay.
So because of the nature of my job, not just my children, I often work with very young adults, like just coming in, this new generation, and they're not active, right? But they're smart as all get out. They want to know the why. They research. They know technology, and even with our new workout plan that we have in the Army, it works for them. It's just really like cut to the point. Like, you do what you have to do and be done with it. So they're like, let's get to it, get it done, and be gone. And like, that's just the way of the generation. And I think that if we don't adapt to it, like, we'll be lost. We can teach the old ways all we want, but the new generation is not like that. They need to know the why. Right. It needs to be immediate. They have to have some sort of fulfillment immediately. And that's just the way it is. And I struggle with it with my own children. I'm like, I know how I was raised. You're supposed to do a certain thing. If I say it, that's what it is.
Mhm.
But it's not that anyway.
You're
And
right.
so if we don't, as adults, adapt to it and still give the lessons we know we need to give, and we'll lose our children. Like
Yeah.
I see it every day, not just with my children, but with the young leaders that I'm leading. Like it's a different generation. My young 13, well, she's 16 now, but like even then she was like, I know the laws, you can't spank me, I'll call the police,
Beat
I'll
your
tell them what
ass.
you're doing. And it was like so weird to me to hear that.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. So like they're evolving and we need to evolve because times is changing if we want to be effective.
I mean, I get that, but I still believe that well, I can see that as a positive. I'm not even gonna front. I can see that as a positive for their generation, because you're right. They know how to ask the whys, and like you can't just tell them go from point A to point B. They want to know why I'm going from point A to point B. And do you have any suggestions on how I can get there faster? So I agree that that is a great quality that they have. Is something that I wish we would have had. A lot of us rather would have had. That mindset to just kind of not just go and do. That's just like,
Yeah.
back in the days when they used to go to a new duty station and they tell you, go get a bag of, Kim light batteries. And you like, okay, sorry. I mean, not well, what they look like, what size are they? What color are they? You can't do that now. So yeah, I would have to agree with you there. I would have to agree with you there. And that's absolutely right. So let's talk about financial literacy. Do
Yes.
you think that our financially literate?
Repeat it one more time. It kind of broke up for us.
Do you think that our generation was financially literate?
No.
Me neither.
No.
So
No.
I think what Janae said, I think the fact that Janae's mom talked to her about credit for our generation, that's an anomaly.
Yeah.
Like my mom and dad, as successful as they are, they didn't talk to me about credit. They talked to me
Really?
and no. Girl, do you know how toe up my credit was when we was
You
in
know
the
what I'm saying?
military?
Is you listening? Blasphemy.
I don't know if she's listening, but but I
She
will
said
tell
blasphemy.
you that there were a lot of things that I did not discover on my own. I didn't discover until I was on my own.
Right. Yeah, we was right there together,
And
out
so
of bankruptcy, looking crazy in
right,
our 20s.
right. And so because of that, I make sure that my children know the importance of credit. You got to know, listen, just like Janae said, even if you're struggling, if your credit is good, it'll
Yep.
be all right.
Yep.
Because cash is king, but credit is power.
There you go. Say that again for the people. You guys make a freaking awesome right there. South Carolina, right there in the house. Whoop whoop. That's the
Hey,
803.
hey, hey. The 803, 843.
Let's go, let's go, baby.
Yeah.
Baby.
Yeah, so my daughter, I'm so proud of her. She even on her YouTube channel, she even talks about credit. Like this
Yeah,
chick, it's her credit score is falling a little bit, but it's
her
what?
little vegan self, yes.
Yeah, she's vegan.
Yes. Don't
Watch
eat
her YouTube
in the
channel.
refrigerator when I go there. Don't I be like, where is the food?
Don't worry about don't worry about it, sweetheart. Don't worry about it.
I be hungry. I be
Get that
hungry
split.
when I
Don't
get
worry
to your
about it,
house.
sweetheart.
I be hungry.
She eats good. She eats good. But yeah, she's got excellent credit. She's been advising her brother, who's recently active duty soldier. She's been telling him, you can't do this, you can't do that. You got to think about the fact, that you're under 25, the car insurance, your car payment,
Right. That's good. That's good.
all the things. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, so it is. So like my mother, she always stressed credit, right? She was like, you gotta make sure you stay on top of it. I was part of Wells Fargo. She worked for Wells Fargo, so she would watch her bank accounts. If we was like bouncing stuff, she would put money in. But like that was the extent of it, right? She knew that credit was good. You had to make sure it was good so you can do everything else. But what I've learned over the years is more than that. Like there are certain high yield savings accounts that you can use, right? There are certain accounts that you can use that will make you more money. There is credit cards that you should use. Like you should use your credit cards and then just pay them off with your checking account so you can keep building credit and get a higher FICO score and credit score. And like you should really live off a credit card and just pay it monthly. And so like my mom didn't know that stuff, but she knew enough to know that your credit's important. Make sure you don't damage it. But as I grow, I'm learning other things from other people and like the rewards and benefits you get from it, like flights and hotels and money and gas and all this stuff. Like who's supposed to teach us that if we don't know in our own culture? So I struggle with that because I'm like, I may know something I'm teaching my child, but that's just two people in a whole culture. And why don't we know that?
Right. Well, I mean, a good reason to why we didn't know that was, for one, you got to think what we learned from the baby boomers. And okay, so Latrice Stokes, I'm trying to catch y'all comments real quick. Latrice Stokes said, credit and money was not a conversation in my home growing up. And you're absolutely right, Latrice.
Correct.
Because we were raised from the baby boomers, you guys. They could barely go into the bank, let alone be worried about credit and a checking account. And you know what I'm saying? So they couldn't give us those tools if they didn't have them. They were learning along the way as well, you know, but I totally get it. You know, what we learned from the mistakes we made, it was imperative that we pour that into our children. You know, it was imperative. So that was, you know, that was also a big thing with me because, you know, like Naisha, you know, me and Naisha grew up together. Hell, I grew up 95% of the time at her house probably. So, you know, it was process of elimination. You know, we was in our 20s filed bankruptcy with $10,000.
I mean, it is, but like it is, but like I have an Amex, right? And so what I've learned to do, I put both my kids on an Amex, right? They don't even know what they're doing, but their credit is growing because I'm paying it off, spending, whoop, right? And so now my older son, he applied for his own Amex, and what I said was, don't use your debit card. Use your Amex for everything. When you get paid, you pay off your Amex, and then they keep growing. And I'm like, that's such a simple concept that
to me and you, because we know
none of
what
us
the
knew to
end
do,
state is,
but it's
from
simple.
The discipline. They don't understand that just yet. Me and you know what the end state is, why you said that. Because the end state is, if you do X, Y, and Z, if you do X and Y, you're gonna get Z. All they know is I'm just gonna do X. I'll worry about the rest of them later. So you know, it's okay, you know.
But they'll learn it. They'll like, we teach them.
So I think that those were great points. I think, you know, us pouring in our children about financial literacy is important. I understand that is something as a community that we need to do more of, have those conversations, you know, even amongst friends. You know, me and Janae talk about, you know, money management a lot, you know, so just have those conversations, you know, just, hey, did you know X, Y, Z? Or did you ever think about getting into stocks? Do you have an IRA? Do you have this? Do you have that? You know, because they might not know, they might not be privy to it. You know what I mean? So those conversations, even if it's not with your kids, amongst us as adults, I don't see no problem with that, you know? So let's go on to the next thing. Let's talk about something fun now, because this is driving down my.
Yeah, tell her.
Can I say something before you flip?
Yes, sir. You can say anything, Mr. 803.
Don't tell them that.
No, clip me at a certain point. But no, what I try to teach my son is my daughter. She's solid. There's some things I didn't have to say to her, but my son, I taught him what an underwriter is.
Okay.
So what you do is, considering a lot of these kids don't have any influence as far as credit or whatever, teach them the mechanics of how they choose you.
Okay.
How they choose what you're going to get. So when you understand what an underwriter does, you can live your life like an underwriter.
That's good. That's good. There's another. This dude right here.
Okay.
Fire.
Okay.
Fire.
Yeah, I'm learning
This
too.
dude
Come
is-
on.
Y'all surpassed this right here. See, y'all surpassed this. All y'all popping. I'm just trying to catch up.
You on fire.
Okay. No.
No, that's a good point. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go all the way
Definitely,
into it, because
when they understand the
saying
mechanics,
something that somebody else don't know. So you go ahead.
right? But when they understand the mechanics, they don't have to guess of how the choices are made to whether you get approved or disapproved. So if you live like an underwriter, you know exactly what your history is.
Okay, explain to the people, what do you mean by as an underwriter?
As an underwriter, that's who the bank is calling to figure out what you've been doing for your last however. So when they talk and they look at your history and they look at your consistency, they look at your investments, they look at everything that's going to make a decision based on what you're asking for. But when you know your history, I don't give a damn what the underwriters say. You already know you're approved because of how you've been living.
There you go.
So you become your own personal underwriter.
And let me tell you something. There's power in being able to walk into an auto dealer, into a dealership, and knowing that I'll put down a down payment if I want to.
Right.
Okay.
I want to.
If
right.
I want to. This is what I want my payment to be. And no, you don't need my pay stubs.
No.
Look at my credit score. You don't need my pay stubs. You know I'm gonna pay for it, whether I got a job or not.
And that's a good feeling. That's a good feeling, baby. That's a good feeling.
That's confidence. And that's what that financial independence comes from.
Yes.
She a baller, so she's cheating a little bit.
Oh, wait a minute.
She a baller.
Wait a minute. Listen, I'm not a baller. I started from the bottom. Now I'm here.
Started from the bottom.
And now you here, boo. Hey.
And there's still more places that I want to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
But as I get to where I'm going, I'm learning more stuff from people like you.
And I'm very proud of her because I've seen her excel. And we got to speak positivity. I've seen her excel over the past 5 years, like she's been in a 10-year ring.
Yep.
So she's really gone past her years and acceleration. So.
Yep, absolutely. Let me tell you something. If you wanna see the example of work ethic, it is Nyesha Woodard. Let me tell you what. Every time I call, I'll be like, "Girl, were you at work again?"
Right.
I'm working. I'm always working. Like that.
Always working.
Sleeping and working.
Always working.
Yeah.
So let's change the mood.
Let's go, Nyesha. Let's go.
You know what I'm saying? Nyesha she gonna be the first millionaire. What I told y'all, we on our road to $1 million, baby.
Let's go.
There you go.
We on our road to $1 million.
There you go. Because she's already the millionaire. We all are. All of us are millionaires.
We just ain't got our money yet.
Yeah, that's all. It just needs to catch up. That's all.
Yes.
So let's talk about the difference in music. How about that? Let's lighten it up a little bit. All right. I know we've been talking real serious topics here for a minute, but let's talk about the difference in music. Like, I ain't gonna lie now. You know, I'll get with some old school R&B in a minute. You know what I'm saying? Like, back in our days, back in the baby boomer days, like, they was really making real music. They was saying real words that meant something. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't always talking about hoes and bitches and hoes and, you know, like, let's
throw
just
that ass in a circle.
Throw that ass in a circle. No. I mean, I'm saying though, like, for real, you know, when we got together and we partied, we listened to real music and we hung out and, you know, we had a good old time together. You know, like, that ain't the same now. Like, even when we was going to the clubs, like, it wasn't no shoot 'em up, bang, bang. The most you did was catch some girl fighting over her man. That was the most that you saw. But, like, let's talk about the difference in, you know, like, clothes. I know y'all see how the styles are coming back just in a circle. They throwing that in a circle too, the styles. You know, how all that is just repeating itself, you know, because they know what a good thing is. Like we enjoy this good thing. Put all the rest of them, you know, put all the rest of that crap on the shelf, you know, gangster music, all that, put it on. I mean, it's good for the people that is intended for, but let's listen to some good music, some good soul music, some good love making music. Let's do some electric slide. You know what I'm saying? Let's do some of that.
Can I just say this? On top of the fact that Promise is a great, just, you know, he can talk, he can sing too. He can sing.
Well, he can sing. Come on, hit a note for us. Hit a note for us.
Do it.
Yeah.
Promise. Come on, Maxwell.
Hit that note again. Hit that note again. Hit that
Yeah. See my assistant for
booking
shows. Yeah. Come on, Thomas, hit it for us one good time. Show them what the Generation X got on.
You call me Thomas?
Thomas?
Promise.
It's promise.
Like I promise.
I promise to love you forever.
Hey.
Yeah, you like that? Hey, I'm getting you ready. Come on, give it to us.
Give it to them. Give the people what they want. Promise Huge, everybody. Promise Huge. Come on.
Look, that's a little snippet. Something simple. It's simple. I love it. Having you near me, having you here. Our conversations outrageous. You smile, then I smile, then I say, hey, this is getting personal. Let's stay for a while and play. Girl, let's make this a moment. Ooh, that's enough.
Promise. I think I want to marry you.
Hey. Let's go.
That's you ain't had the candles in the back.
Let's go. She got the wave going on. She ready.
Throw your lighters in the air.
Yeah.
Oh man.
How the hell did I just come back in?
I would just have to say, you know, like our generation, you know, when we get together, we have a genuinely good time, you know, and I can see, you know, because Dominique and Dante, Taryn, all of them, TJ, no, I think TJ is a Y. I mean a Z. TJ is a Z. And so, but I can see in the millenniums, the older they get, a lot of they really become us. You know, they really become us, and you know how they vibe. They just start to vibe a little different. You know, I can see that in my daughter. You know, her vibe. You know, it's more mature. So as they get older and as they mature and come into themselves, you know, yeah, their vibe gets a little different. You know, their outlook gets a little different, and that's good. And I think that's a testament to our parenting. You know, we wasn't putting them in front of, you know, TVs and doggone iPads and doing our thing while, you know, that those items was raising our kids. So that's a testament to us, and you know, getting through and creating these paths for them and providing for them and hustling and, you know, falling down, getting up. You know, we did that, and I think that's a testament to us as well as a testament to the baby boomers, because we wouldn't be who we are without the baby boomers, you know, and the the generations, you know, that came before the baby boomers. So I think that is awesome. So another thing, let's talk about, how about education wise? I think in our generation, it was more focused towards going to college. You got to go to college. You got to get a degree. You got to get a degree. You got to get a degree. But I find now that, you know, a lot of these kids, you know, they're just not college material, or they don't have no desire to go to college, but they get, you know, these certifications and they get out and they get amazing jobs just based off their certifications. So, you know, what's your take on that right there? The difference in, you know, us being pushed, go to college, got to go to college. You got to get a degree. You got to get a degree.
So I think you summed it up best. Our generation was pushed to go to college. You got to go to college. You got to get a 4-year degree. And I think it goes without saying that a 4-year degree at this time doesn't really mean very much. A 4-year degree is almost like a high school diploma at this point, right? But because the education system is starting to understand that everybody isn't cut out to go to college. That's why there's more focus now on technical schools,
Right.
and to get a trade versus going to a liberal arts college and getting a degree that you might not make as much money as a person that went to Midlands Tech for 18 months. So, and as far as instilling education in my children, or the importance of education in my children, I didn't push any of them to go to college. I let that be their choice. The person that I did not think was going to graduate from college is going to graduate in about
My girl, Karen.
But a lot of the reason why she's going to graduate from college is because she went on an athletic scholarship.
Yeah, right.
Otherwise, she probably wouldn't have gone.
But that's, I mean, you know, it gotta.
It is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Taryn is the person that I knew was going to get her bachelor's and her master's and then maybe her PhD. And her little sister's going to graduate before she does, which there's no issue with that. It's just that they chose different paths.
Right.
So,
and that's fine, you know.
yeah, as
That's
far as
fine.
education is concerned, as long as you do something and you're good at whatever it is you do whatever you do. Even if you don't want to go to college or you don't want to get a certification, you still need to work. You have to work.
You know, this is a good point. Mr. Schufer said this is a great point, actually. Google changed the way we looked at education.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. What you got to go to college for? Ask Google.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir, Mr. Promise.
Yo, I'm around so many rich people right now. I'm around a lot of rich people.
Like right now?
Like right now.
Like us.
Like right now. I don't go in broke situations.
You better proclaim
so
that.
at the end of the day, the people that I've met that are like rich have not gone to school. One thing that I learned from them is who you are. Outlook on who you are. So if a man doesn't know or a woman doesn't know who they are, they will not fully be successful.
You're right.
So once you know where you are and where you come from, there's a pride and independence there that says I can do anything. Mm-hmm. And this is the reason why I'm different when it comes to education. I respect it because some of our greats, you know, have a list of degrees that go along with the changes they made in society. But when it comes down to what they're teaching our kids,
right.
Can I say something?
Go ahead, Mr.
People. I'm sorry.
You can't say the F word.
I said the F word.
Yes, yeah, you can't do
it's
that.
Okay. I say it all the time.
I'm gonna say this right here. When you have so many different mixes of people, and everyone falls under a construct of what they perceive or the narrative they gave that child, knowing everyone has a different background. If you generalize it to where a child thinks one way, you're training employees and not entrepreneurs.
There you go.
And what they're doing is they're making it to where kids go to school, but they have no understanding of what they're going to school for.
You're right.
So they waste their money. They're getting out and they're going to get that certification that you was talking about because it's more attainable. Because they know time is moving. I got to do something. Let me get the certification and I'm good. Education is specific. So my son wants to be a robotics engineer. He wants to make prosthetic parts for his limb. He has arms, legs. That's what he wants to do. I said, you're an engineer when you wake up in the morning, not when you go to school.
You better come on, somebody.
What you preaching? Preach on, preacher. That's good right there.
That's who you are.
Dropping it down, but you are so right. You gotta know your purpose.
Right.
If you're not following your purpose, you're just spinning your wheels.
But Kecia, don't you think that his son is unique in a sense where he knows what he wants to do?
Oh, yeah.
Like the only other person that
I don't, because not listening to his father talk, I don't. Had I not known his father, I have never talked to him, then maybe I would.
Okay, but I'm talking about in a general sense. Like
compared to his peers, yes.
Okay, because the only two people that I've ever known that knew what they wanted to do when they grew up
Specifically.
was Ramsey. Ramsey wanted to be he wanted to be an engineer, computer engineer. So that's what he's doing. And Nick, he wanted to either be a cop or he wanted to be a soldier. There was no in betweens. But the rest of us, like I'll be 50 next year, and I don't know what I mean. I know what I want to do now.
I know. I always knew what I wanted to be. I wanted to be great, and I think
you better come
achieved it.
Let's go, baby. You want to be great?
What's wrong with you? All of this,
you better come through, Kecia. Come through.
You know what I'm saying? That's an 843 right there, baby.
Yeah.
Period, poo.
Period. As my granddaughter would say, period.
Purr.
Straight like that.
But no, that's right. Even like, okay, so with my kids, now my daughter, I pushed education because my aunt pushed education on me. So in my mind, that's why I got so many degrees, because it was like, okay, I got this one. Okay, I'm gonna go. What I'm gonna do next? What I'm gonna do next? What I'm gonna do next? Because that was instilled in me from my aunt. You set a goal, you achieve a goal, you set a goal, you achieve a goal, you set a goal. So with my daughter, I did the same thing, and well, that cost the Army. Didn't cost me, but it cost the Army. So, but once she found her purpose, what she really wanted to do, she's flourishing in her job now. But guess what? It wasn't a degree that got her to her success now. It was certifications. You know what I'm saying? It was certifications that got her to her success now.
I'm proud of you for getting the degrees that you have, because I ain't got degree to first. I'm almost
I
there,
got enough for you and me. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, thank you.
And like with Dante always knew he wanted to go to the Army. Like from when he could talk, he always knew that he wanted to go to the Army. He always knew that he wanted to fight in wars, and he wanted to be a ranger. He wanted to do all these great things. And so I learned from with Dominique. So when Dante got himself together, and it was like, you want to go to college? Like, let me ask. Let's talk about this. We don't need to waste these people money if you don't want to go, And so he was like, I'll try it, Mom. And he took one class, and he was like, this ain't for me. And he's flourishing in the military. He's gotten promoted fast, and he want to jump out of trees and stab people in the neck and all kinds of stuff. I don't know where he got that from either, but whatever. But I feel because I was a bookworm, felt like, okay, I had to get this degree and that degree and that degree, and oh, let me dream of what else can I do? What else can I do? My passion is logistics. So that's what I follow, business and logistics. I always knew that I want to be an entrepreneur. I always knew that I enjoyed logistics and supply chain because of what the Army trained me to do. So, that was my path. That was my purpose. And that's what I followed, And so, I learned from with my daughter, because I did push college on her. Like, oh, you going to college? I would rather her go to college than to work. Really, I would rather her go to college than to work. But after a while, it was like, you just wasting these people money. What are you going to do with yourself? You just can't be wasting these people money. I done worked too hard for these people to give you this money, girl. But she ended up getting all these certifications, and she's flourishing. She has her eyes on the target, on the goal. She wants to be a director, and that's where she's headed. And I'm proud of her. And she loves what she do. She questions it every day. Why do I like kids?
Well, we all question, what we do.
Yeah. So, not me, not no more. I don't question it no more. I like being a retiree.
Okay.
A lot. Okay, one last topic about from the baby boomers to us to Generation Y. Marriage. Yes, I said the M word, marriage. So, do y'all feel like, okay, let me just tell you what I think. I think that marriage was a big thing with the baby boomers, because that was you know,
Oh, shit.
that was the norm, I guess. I would guess. Because when people got married back then, they stayed married. It wasn't really like a thing of divorce, you know what I mean? And so in our generation, I can tell you, I got married prematurely the first time, and I got divorced expeditiously. And since then, I have not made it back to the altar because I feel like our generation is quick to, um, like, we don't want to go the long haul. Like, male and female. I can't even put it on a specific gender, but I think that a lot of us don't want to go the long haul. We don't want to sacrifice for each other. So it's kind of like I'm just do me, you know, and now that's trickling over into the Y and the Z. So Janae's back. Everybody see Janae from Texas. She's back. So
I'm
Janae,
with my husband. I'm so
this is going to
sorry.
be our last topic. We're going to talk about, hey, Uncle D. Okay, so we're going to talk about, Uncle D, tell the people who you are.
Uncle D, tell the people who you are.
Oh, hi, I'm Darren Gaddy, her husband.
There you go. Good job.
This
Can he not hear us? Okay, he can hear us. Okay, so I'm so
he can
glad
hear us.
they're on here now together because we're getting ready. The last topic I want to talk about is marriage. I think that from the baby boomers, there was, like my mother said, there was a sense of community back then. And I think that it was a sense of responsibility back then too. And now I feel like our generation is more to say, well, I don't need you. I'll just take care of myself because we have that sense of independence, not just women. I'm talking about across the board. I feel like, and I use myself as an example because, I got married prematurely. I got divorced expeditiously, and I have yet to make it to the
You
altar
stupid.
because
You
I feel
stupid.
like we're not willing to go the long haul. We're not willing to see past each other's faults. It's like we expect perfection before we can make it to the I do's. When nobody is perfect. You, me, nobody is perfect. I just feel like our generation, and it's trickling down in our community. So, Janae, what's your take on that? You and Darren.
um, what's the question?
So, how do you feel about the sense of marriage and relationships and building families amongst our generation compared to the baby boomers? Do you feel like that's a thing that we strive for, or that sense of independence has taken over the ideal of building families?
It's hard because, like, I think youth looks at examples, and if they don't see examples, like, they just continue to do whatever they're gonna do, and it's up to us to show them. Like, me and my husband's been married for 20 years this August. We've been together before then, but
Look at Black Love. Let's give a hand for Black Love. Black Love. Black Love.
I'm
I
just
just love
saying,
them, though. I
like,
love them.
so, like, they see it and they want to, I know they want to strive towards it, but, like, people don't understand that, like, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of commitment, it takes a lot of communication, and people don't understand, like, you have to continually communicate about things to make it possible to make it this far. And with that, it comes with a lot of sacrifice. So it may be some things you don't agree with, but you need to talk it through, continue to work through it. And that's the only way you get to 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. And, like, nothing is perfect. And me and my husband, like, even with our children and with things that challenge us and we may not agree on, we'll say something and then we'll go back in our man cave, which is our bedroom, and we'll talk about it so we can come out on the united front.
That's good.
And we got to continue to like push for that, because what we see in our society right now is people don't do that. They don't know, because there's not a lot of couples that make it that far, but there's no couple that is without fault, without struggle and sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And people need to understand that like there's some things you may not agree on, but like if you guys are willing to build on it,
Right.
you just sacrifice and you continue to work on it. And it's a continual process.
Right.
That's all I'm saying, is that like,
I think that's what a lot of us lack. And I say us
yes,
because, I'm in there too. I think we all expect it to be like that glorious feeling all the time. And when it's not that glorious feeling, our expectations change. It's like, oh, well, let me go try the next person. Maybe they'll be able to give me, what I
but the grass ain't
well,
greener on the
you
other
and I
side.
both know
Like,
that,
so it's
but
like you still got to
everybody
deal
doesn't
with.
see it that way. Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
yeah, and so that's why I'm
I know,
saying.
but then you got to.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying.
I'm
That I
sorry.
feel like why we have went from institution of marriage and the breakdown in the family, is because of a lot of those reasons. We're not willing to do that. Those of us that's in our single stages, a lot of us aren't willing to do it, or those of us that are willing to do it, we just don't end up with, for whatever reason, our choices, whatever, we don't end up with someone, a like-minded person that's willing to say, I agree, let's make some sacrifices. Let's talk about these things. I love you. I want to be with you, because I think you guys would agree that marriage is more than love. You need more than love to have
Yes,
a
yes.
successful marriage. So
Yeah, so like I love my husband, and like to us we have our love, but then when you start imparting other things, and our children are our love, but
mhm,
that's still another variable that comes into your relationship. You have to be like-minded on it.
right,
And my husband and I have been separate on certain things of our relationship with our children, but we have to sit, come together and say, okay, so what are you thinking? What am I thinking? And
mhm,
so how can we make this go forward together? And even if we're not aligned, there's still certain things that you're aligned with, because like you said earlier in the podcast, is that we still have our history and
right,
the things we want to make sure that goes forward. And
mhm,
we just have to figure out how we can do that together and
right,
make sure we're together in that.
right.
Um,
And you just
even
can't
if
have the whole
our,
mindset of, this is who I am. Either you take it or you leave it. With that mindset alone, you're gonna stay by yourself.
yeah,
Nobody in their right mind should just say, okay, well, I'm gonna take it, and you're gonna still be the same way, but you're gonna have your expectations of me is different. No, if you it's a partnership, you should be willing
it
to,
is. Is a it,
because the relationship, the marriage is never going to stay the same. Like you said, it grows, it evolves, it is continuous compromise, good communication, understanding. It's constant. So I think that because of all those things, and because a lot of people aren't willing to give those things, because I have single friends who speak about it, and we have these conversations, and it's like, some people don't feel like they want to compromise. I mean, hell, I dated someone who felt like it, this is who I am. Either you take it or you leave it. I'm not going to stop doing this, and that's it. And that ended our relationship. But a lot of people think like that, and I think when you have more,
but you can't if you
I
want to
mean, yeah,
like
I agree, but that's what I'm saying. When
you
I think when you have more people think like that, we move away from, building our community based off families. Hence, that's not what, the next generation is seeing. So guess what they're going to do? They're just going to repeat that. And, the family dynamic is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller.
It is, but like I will tell you, with me and my husband, we believe financially what it's supposed to be. Like, we have taught them about credit cards, taught them about credit, and taught them about all this stuff. We've set up life insurance policies that affect them in that way. But even if me and my husband doesn't agree on the rearing of the children and how we punish them and make them understand, they understand that, like, we are a united front on, you have to make sure your credits are good, you're paying your bills, that you're doing X, Y, and Z. And so that's never something different, because we want them to be good on their own.
Right.
We may disagree on how we chastise them, but other than that, you have to be, as a couple, on the same page of how you express financial growth. And so we're on the same page of financial growth. I may baby him because he's my baby, and not like, I understand mothers are connected a little different than males, but like,
with a small voice in your
I know,
mind,
and he always says you're babying him.
Janae. Oh, okay.
I know, and so I baby him, as in like, okay, you missed your car payment, I'll pay it for you. My husband's like, absolutely not. You're going to take this 30 days, whatever, but I'm not going to let you go past 30 days. Yeah, right. He'd be like, fuck that.
Me and Darren, we down like
but
two
I'm
flats.
like, yeah, but
I'm
that's
like,
going to affect him the rest of his life.
Repo it. Have the
I
repo
know,
man
but
come
like,
and
you
get
don't
it.
really want that to happen. I know, but that's a lifetime thing. So like, I'll let you take a 30-day hit because my husband says you need to learn it that way. But I'm also on the other end, like, I need to save you and teach you and continue to let you know, like, that's going to affect you for years to come. And so that's where me and my husband different. But outside of that, we know, like, we need to protect them. We need to teach them about money. We need to teach them how to get better, because other than that, the generations beyond us won't know that. And so he needs to know that. And so, like, we're trying to teach two separate lessons.
Right.
Mothers obviously are more like coddling than what we should be. But I align with my husband. If he says that's it, then
That's
even if I'm
it.
even if I'm like
Big Swole has
and I'm
spoken.
like, yeah, I'm just like, oh, but I go with him because I also trust that he knows what he's doing.
Right.
And
that's another thing, submitting
proven
to your husband. A lot of us women have an issue with that whole submitting to our
It's
man.
hard. It's hard because I think I'm right on everything, but there are things that he is very more enlightened to, and that he knows how to show what's right and what's wrong. And he's been right in every occasion, even if I hate it. But at the end of the day, I have to submit to what my husband thinks is right. We're aligned together. He knows what my intent is and what we want to do. We know how we want to show our children. But if they are hard-headed, and we all have children that are hard-headed, we have to show them a lesson. And so my child will suffer on his credit report, that 30-day late report, but he needs to understand what that means, because if he doesn't, then he never learns that your actions have something to do with your lifestyle. And so I accept that. It has consequences.
Okay, Nisha, you and Promise, what do y'all have? What's your input on this topic of marriage and the breakdown of the family generations moving forward?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes.
That's it? Just yes?
Yeah, that's all I got.
Yes, what? Yes, what?
No. Maybe.
Don't forget you talking to Elizabeth Taylor, okay?
Okay, it's all right. That's why I want you to give some input because you got a little bit of experience.
Okay, so like you, I got married very prematurely when I was. Oh shoot, that was some money that just popped. Some money just popped into my cash app. Thank you, now.
That's what's up.
Okay, $1 million. So
Hey.
so I got married very early. When I was in the military, I should have never married this individual. He's a fine guy. And then I married my children's father when I got home from the military. And that lasted for a very long time. We also got married probably prematurely. And my mother knew that because we got married at her house and we were in the bathroom. I was getting ready to go out. I was big pregnant. And she said, you ain't got to marry this nigga if you don't want to. Ma.
Okay, Miss Ann. Yes.
Right.
I can see.
And if I had really thought about what she was saying, I probably would have waited. I probably eventually would have married him, but I would have waited. Mm-hmm. Things happened. We grew apart. We basically grew up together. We were married for a while. We have 3 beautiful children. But we grew apart. He went to do his thing. I went to do my thing. A lot of my youth I was married a lot of the time that I should have been wilding out, right? And so our children, fortunately for my children and for my ex-husband and for myself, we have a cohesive co-parenting style.
Yes.
My ex-husband is family. He's got the key, the code to the door. He rings the doorbell, of course, but he can come in. He's family. Yes. So we don't have any problems. And that's the example that my children see. So I think they have a healthy outlook on marriage, how it's supposed to be. And they also, unfortunately, they also know how marriage shouldn't be because of the situation I was in when I got married to my current
soon to be ex-husband. Yes.
My current ex-husband. Yeah, this husband number 3. Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
All right.
It's okay.
I'm good. Am I done? Can I stop?
Okay. But tell me this. So now, do you feel okay? Let's talk about your last marriage.
Okay.
Remember some of the things that I said that we as singles struggle with, to come together in order to have a healthy marriage. Do you think some of those things played a part?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know now that in marriage, love is not enough.
That's right.
It is not enough. And if your values don't align, then I won't say it's doomed from the start, but if each individual that's in the marriage is not willing to be open-minded and is not willing to have some sort of growth and self-awareness about things,
right?
It's never going to work. So if you do something to me and I tell you I didn't appreciate that, and you tell me I need to get over it, it basically comes down to
fuck you.
Don't cut me and then tell me how to bleed and how long to bleed. And that's a lot of what happened in my last marriage on both sides.
And I think that just goes back to, is a testament to what I was saying, how we and I don't know if it's because of the baggage that we have or what, but it's just like until you evolved and you find, you find that happiness within self, that true happiness within self. Because when you're happy within and love yourself, then I feel like, this is Kecia's opinion, that when you're happy and you genuinely love yourself as God loves, because God is love, then you have God in your heart. And then you don't want it. If it's someone that you feel love towards, then you want to do what's best for said person. So if I decide that, I'm in love with you, then I understand there are going to be compromises. There are going to be, times when we have to agree to disagree, but we're both working towards the same goal, which is a healthy relationship,
Mhm.
effective communication, respect, honor, all these different things. And I
And
think,
so,
you know, when it comes to trauma, how we deal with trauma
Mhm.
in our generation, because I think it's really big how we deal with trauma. Like we were saying, I think you were saying it earlier, Nisha, how, you know, the kids these days deal with anxiety and depression and all that, and I think we deal with our trauma differently from them, in our, and I can speak from the knowledge that I have. It was always swept under the rug. You didn't really deal with it, until you made the choice to not care what people was going to say, and you went to therapy. You know what I'm saying? And so that was a big thing in itself, because you was breaking the norm, or breaking, a habit, or, something that your family or your friends just did not, agree to. So you was gonna go against the grain, so to speak. And then, you dealt with that, because you still find people in our generation now who say, oh no, I'm not going to no therapy. I'm not going to talk to somebody about the way that I feel, and they don't even know me, but therapy is good. Therapy helps you to become your better self. You can't always deal with everything. You get overwhelmed. And that old saying, hurt people that's bleeding just bleed all over other people. And so yeah, I just wanted to touch on marriage, and how we see, again, the lack of community, the lack of pouring into healthy marriages, healthy families in our generation. Because I know at one point in our generation, it was, because the Black man was being incarcerated or killed on the street, by the hands of the police, or, white supremacies, or whatever the case is, that was the demise of the Black family, because they was taking out the Black man. But there's still Black men who are able, thinking they're not dead, or they're not in that environment, who still cannot mentally get past the baggage that they have, or the mindset that they have created for themselves, to build a healthy, happy relationship, family, marriage, etc., etc. So I just wanted to see what you guys thought on that topic. Promise you didn't have anything to add.
That's a very, very big
Well,
one
I
right
would just
there.
say like
Hello. Say again. What did she say?
go ahead.
No, I thought she asked a question. Did she ask a question?
No, well, she's gone now, so you just go
Oh, okay.
ahead.
Now I see marriage for what it is now. Mainly because of what I screwed up in it, right? So I guess getting married and thinking marriage is going to change you
Right.
was the biggest buffoonery on my behalf, right? So with all the sense I have, and all the diction and understanding things, I didn't understand myself.
Right.
I thought marriage was going to really change it, but you can't get married with a list of circumstances and people along with you.
That's a good point.
So that was my issue. I wasn't realistic or honest with myself in dealing with somebody else's future.
Right. That's a good, honest assessment. Thank you for that.
Bless. But I really see it as a beautiful thing. But to me, marriage is a spiritual value.
Yes, it
And the
is.
same way you seek God for those things you want,
Yes.
that's definitely at the top tier.
Yes,
And
sir.
I don't even think it's something that you necessarily want. I want God to choose what's good for me, because
That's
He's
right.
the only one that knows what's good for me. I only know what I like.
You better.
Right there. I only know what I like, but I liked a lot of things, and what I liked, it grew in duplicates. I had a whole harem and a marriage at the same time. So because of it, Here comes the lies. Here comes the financial strife. Here comes the fake shit all across the board. So when you look at yourself, it takes a lot of introspection to follow through and say that, you know what, either we're gonna make this work or I'm gonna walk away because I don't want to fuck you up for somebody else.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Ooh, that's awesome. That's awesome what you said. And like with my husband and I, um, we've decided that we go to a counselor, and it's so that we can hear each other.
They don't
And
know
so
what exactly.
sometimes we're talking around each other and like we just don't hear each other. But with a counselor, like they break it and they say, "Did you hear what she said? Did you hear what he said?" And then they make it so we hear each other. And
Yeah.
sometimes we just have points where we think we're right, but then a counselor or somebody in between says, "Okay, listen to what they're actually saying." And so we've learned to go to counseling, whether um I know it's taboo and you think like your marriage don't need it, but what we learn is we do need it,
Right.
because we argue all the time. We have different perspectives and points of view on things, but sometimes we can't hear each other because we feel like we're right. And
Right.
so that counselor is the person in the middle that says, "Break, listen. Now what do you have to say to what he said or
Right.
what she said?" And so we've gotten stronger because of that, and it's been an awesome thing. So like I know a lot of in our community, we don't think we need
Yeah.
counseling and other things, but it's not that someone's telling us what to think or what to do, but sometimes it's just the person to say pause,
Right.
listen to what the other person is saying. Now, what do you have to say? And it changes what I have to say. I'm like, okay, I didn't think of it that way.
Right.
So, okay, let's do this. So, like, you got something different, babe?
No, I agree.
And so, like, I think in our community, we have shunned on, and it's because of our history,
Right.
someone intervening and
Right.
stuff. But
Mhm.
like, we have to teach our younger people that it's okay. We need
Right.
to seek that extra help, because
Right.
that's going to strengthen our relationships, or at least allow us to understand, even
Mhm.
if you're going to walk away, but you walk away with understanding, because
Right.
that's the only way you experience growth.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that was excellent. That was put perfectly, Janae. And it my goal in us talking about marriage is because, it goes back to what my mother said last week was, the sense of community back then. They had their notes or, their issues or whatever, but there was still a sense of community. And, my hope and
Yeah.
prayer is that we can get that sense of community back, that family foundation back, because you don't see people having 12 and 13 kids no more. You just don't see that.
Yeah.
You see a lot of marriages failing, and you see people in their 40s and 50s before they even get married, or have kids because they haven't found the right person, so um it is my hope and prayer that we can bring back that close-knit community and supporting the families, and because the family is the foundation, God, family, and everything else, so I think that's important, and I just wanted us to end off with so, you guys, this brings this episode to an end. As always, I want to
Hey.
thank my Lord and Savior for this opportunity and this platform to do what it is that He would have me to do. And I want to thank my amazing production team, the Brass Mill Studios here in Bell County, Maryland. My family, they take good care of me. I appreciate them. I love them. And to my fabulous guests, my friends, my circle. Round of applause for my circle. I appreciate y'all. I
That's
appreciate
me.
Janae.
That's me.
Janae from Texas. She's an hour behind, so she was a little discombobulated, but we got us straight. We got us straight. Darren, Promise it was amazing meeting you. You're amazing. I can't wait to meet you in the flesh. My girl 𝐼𝐸ia, the hardest working woman in the state of South Carolina.
That's right.
Thanks.
That's right.
If you in South Carolina and you need a house sold or you need to sell a house, contact 𝐼𝐸ia, the realtor. If you need your house clean, contact
D&W Janitorial.
D&W Janitorial. Okay, all right.
And if anybody wants a dog, I have one.
Okay, she cannot give away Nicholas's dog. Okay, all right.
Okay.
So I thank you all, and last but not least, how can I? To my fabulous audience, to everybody out there tuning in. I know I'm gonna get better with answering the questions and seeing y'all comments. Y'all know I love y'all. Y'all be looking out. Y'all be making me feel special, and I appreciate y'all for that because this is what I love. I be hyped doing my podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Hype.
I appreciate y'all.
Let's go, Kecia.
Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please and ma'am, thank you very much. And on that note, before I go, next week, we're going to have my favorite wives on the show, baby. The Millenniums will be here.
Is that
so
me?
you want to tune in and see what they got to say because we all know the Millenniums have something to say. Okay? So this time next week, 7 p.m., tune in without a doubt. Until then, peace. God bless. I love you and